reason I didn't turn into Terry Crews. I understand why. You know what, damn it, I am nothing like freaking Terry Crews. Terry Crews is a legit awesome dude. Has had more success as an actor and as like a spokesperson than he ever did as like a professional athlete. It's crazy what these dudes get up to after they retire. For instance, John Daly, who was famous for going onto the golf course and over the span of 18 holes got progressively more and more drunk to the point of where for like the last 3 holes of like his round of golf, he would strip his shirt off with like his big old beer gut hanging out and just like hit 300-yard drives. Why the hell not? Also with what he looks like right now, a big old American hat with a big old bushy beard and everything. He looks like he marches for White Trash Lives Matter. I can't claim like that joke. That was country club adjacent. What are some athletes that you know that retired and became successful in their own right? I can think of one.
Yeah, I don't follow sports.
Oh, really? Like Ray Lewis?
I don't follow sports really.
But you do know, like, you know, Ray Lewis.
I know the name.
T-Sizzle.
No, never heard that.
Terrell Suggs.
Oh yeah.
And Ed Reed, arguably, like, oh my gosh, like 3 of the greatest defensive players of all time, and like from like one of your favorite team, Baltimore Ravens.
I've only watched the team for like a number of years now. Like I'm still relatively new to watching NFL and such.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't know the whole history that everybody else does and such.
Oh boy, for me, Ray Lewis is still to me the greatest middle linebacker ever.
I don't follow basketball like at all. The only golfer I really know of is Tiger Woods.
El Tigre?
Yeah. I mean, don't follow tennis at all. I don't follow like anything.
I followed tennis because my mom played tennis, and I had to know certain names.
I know a few UFC fighters, but yeah, I'm not a sports guy really.
For instance, I remember my mom like regaling me on the days of like Martina Navratilova versus Chris Evert, and like how those two in the 80s went back and forth as to like who was the greatest female tennis player in the world. And it was like Martina won one, Chris won another, Martina then Chris, Martina then Chris. Basically, if one of them didn't exist, the other one would have more championships than anyone else in like women's tennis history, and it wouldn't be close. It would be them up here than everyone else. But because they both existed and they both were like foils for each other, they basically like had one of the greatest rivalries ever. I got regaled on that because my mom played tennis. Mom was a state champion in tennis. She was like really talented. And then me, I got into football because my dad was into football, and I used to watch tape with my dad of like Lawrence Taylor. You know, that's another person who's been successful since his retirement from the NFL. My dad was like watching tape on Lawrence Taylor with me. He's like, "See it right there, son? You see it right there? You know, when you're going after the quarterback, like there's things you can do. Push and press, you can do the swim move, you can do the spin." And I'm like, "Dad, that is Lawrence Taylor, the greatest outside linebacker ever to exist. And you expect me to be like him?" And my dad's like, "I just figured you could use the inspiration." I'm just like, this is inspiring me to like think like I'm never gonna be as good as him.
It's like me with guitar. It's like I picked up guitar because I listened to bands that had guitar parts I could easily play, and then as I started listening to bands that played harder and harder stuff, I was just like, I'm never gonna get there. What's the point?
I stopped playing football because my knee gave out on me. But in terms of music, I instead stopped trying to be like everyone else, and I instead found my own sound. And I think that's the point.
It's kind of what I'm doing with keyboard.
And that's good.
But like vocals were like not the same as guitar for me because I tried to do stuff other people did and it worked. So like I could feel myself improving and getting better at what I was trying to learn, and I could feel myself able to like emulate like other people I consider to be very good vocalists. So I was just like, hell yeah, and kept going with that, you know. So with keyboard, I'm kind of just like, I know I'm not really a good keyboardist. I'm just trying to like
I call
come up
bullshit
with
on that.
things that
He's a great keyboardist. Don't let him sell
just-
himself short.
Like I'm not Jan Werman or anybody from.
Well,
like,
dude,
the
you're
biggest
talking
metal
about
bands.
the 1% of the 1% who are like gods at what they do. You are very talented in your own right, and I think if you give yourself enough time and you practice enough, maybe you won't reach Jan Weerman, but you can reach your own level where you're recognized for your own way of doing things. Here's the thing. Malmsteen is arguably one of the fastest guitar players in the world. But do people remember him for his music, or do they remember him for his technique?
It's technique.
Exactly. Whereas, what is the name of the game when it comes to music? It's not about technique. It is about what you can play that moves people.
Sometimes
every
it's
single
both.
time. Huh?
Sometimes it's both.
Well, no, technique is a tool. Like, speed is a tool. Like, having, like Zach, my cousin Zach, like, had all the speed in the world in terms of, like, his finger speed. But when it came to trying to compose stuff, he kept hitting roadblocks because he was trying to be like everybody else instead of trying to be his own like musician. And that's like me. I struggled with that too for a long time, and then I was just like, you know what, to hell with it. I'm gonna play whatever feels good to me, and if I like it, I'm gonna roll with it, and if it's not good, I'm just gonna move on to something else. That's what you have to do.
Because you have, I just say sometimes it's both, because with Jan, like it's both. I like his technique and the music moves me,
Well,
and then Buckethead has a lot of songs that I only listen to like once because it was just technique, but then he has some other songs that just like I can listen to over and over again because just they're really good songs.
Well, no, and you see, that's okay. That's okay to feel like that, because let's be honest, those guys are at the upper echelon. Like I said, they're the 1% of the 1%. Much like how every athlete, not every basketball player is going to be Michael Jordan or LeBron James or Kobe Bryant. Not every football player is going to be Lawrence Taylor, Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs. Not every one of them is going to be like that. But the fact that they made it, the fact that they made it to the NFL in the first place is unbelievable.
It still means they were good at what they did.
Exactly. And that's like you playing keyboard over there. The impact that you've made on the music overall has just been insurmountable, dude. It's unbelievable.
Some of the most successful bands actually don't have like any like impressive technique behind the music they make, like Korn.
Well, no,
like Davis has like all the talent, in the band, but like, in terms of guitar parts and stuff, like they play simple stuff. They just play pitchy, heavy stuff.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like Monkey and Head are both like just wizards. I've seen them jam when it's just them, like doing solos and like sweep picking and everything. I'm like, why don't they do that on the? Oh yeah, it's Korn. And that's just how it is.
It's like John 5.
Yeah.
John 5, like he's an insane guitarist and technique and such, but every single band he plays with, he plays simple stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, I don't know how he doesn't get bored playing for like Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie and stuff,
Paychecks are a hell of a thing. If you're a musician and you get paid money to do what you love, that's the dream. And while I may not be the most popular artist in the world, I'm making enough of an impact on people to where they want to hear me. Much like these people have found more than one way to make an impact on like changing people's lives. Because, as athletes, they inspired young kids to like pick up sports, stay in, get in shape and all that. But apparently they found success after that affected their lives for the better. Let's get into this. This is Sunny V2 with athletes who retired but were more successful after.
Their sporting careers had officially ended, but these 10 athletes were just getting started, and none were as strange as George Foreman's transition from
I don't see
boxing
Terry,
to
but Terry
kitchen
was the first one.
appliances. He retired at the age of 48 with minimal future prospects, yet had thankfully claimed his success was due to his healthy eating, because at the same time a company called Sultan was developing a special type of grill that would drain the excess fat out of anything it was cooking. George Foreman let the company use his name in exchange for 40% of profits, believing this was his fate by tweeting, "While I was KO'd, I saw a giant piece of meat screaming 'grill me.' When I woke, I said gotta find a grill," thus the George Foreman grill. The product, however, was a total failure until he also began hosting their infomercials. George Foreman explained that at the height of the grill's success, there were months I was being paid $8 million, yet he'd eventually sell his share in the product for a one-time payment of $137 million. The product became
Can't be mad at that, dude.
so popular, one person posted, "Today I learned that George Foreman is not just a brand of grill. It's actually the name of a real man who was once a boxer, while the name Jason Statham belongs to a man who was once a diver."
An Olympic
He
diver.
made it to the 1990 Commonwealth Games,
Actually,
where the
didn't
judges
realize that.
continually highlighted that he wasn't doing well.
Jason Statham, who's not having a good time. He's moved from 8th, slipped down to 11th.
Despite placing 11th, he'd explained that diving teaches you discipline, focus, and certainly keeps you out of trouble, which are principles he'd also apply as an action movie star.
And
Statham
there you
performs
go.
his own stunts in every single movie, applying his swimming ability in productions like The Meg and Expendables 3, where diving actually saved his life. Whilst filming a truck scene beside a dock, the brakes on the truck failed, plunging him into the sea.
60 feet at the bottom of the Black Sea, stuck in the mud. How am I going to get out of this? This is how it ends.
Yet Jason was able to free himself and swim 20 meters back to the surface. Terry Crews, who we'll talk about later, said, "He was a professional diver, that was his thing, man. If it would have been me, I don't know if it would have ended that way." Statham further added, "I think what I didn't achieve
Lucky
in
he had that
sports
training
has
when that happened, I guess.
Well, once again, serendipity. His body basically went into went by instinct and just figured out, okay, here's how I get out of here. Boom. There you go.
probably helped me focus more and take my acting career more seriously, while Arnold Schwarzenegger was only able to act because
Arnold Schwarzenegger, what? Muhammad Ali, they brought Arnold onto a TV show back in the day, and the host was like, "Muhammad, join me in welcoming Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger." And then he's like, "Did you just call me?" It says the N-word. He's like, no, Arnold. You have to say it together, Schwarzenegger. It's just like, man, you keep saying that, man. I'm getting uncomfortable being up on stage with you. It's like, God dang. Ali was funny, dude.
because of his sporting achievements. In the very same year as Arnold's first Olympia win, he was given the lead role as Hercules in New York, being cast for his appearance which resembled the Greek hero. After his 7th Olympia win, Arnold was cast as Conan the Barbarian, the
Conan the
Terminator,
Barbarian?
and Dutch from Predator, each being influenced by his bodybuilding background. In the process, Arnold appeared on talk shows giving bodybuilding tips, also being elected governor for 8 whole years. More recently, however, Forbes announced that Arnold had officially become a billionaire, yet Magic Johnson already achieved this many years beforehand. He was the NBA's most valuable person during 3 separate seasons,
Most valuable player.
while ESPN called him the 5th best player ever. But despite the Red Hot Chili Peppers writing a song about him, Johnson's career earnings were, according to Forbes, only $40 million, yet he spent it extremely wisely. Magic Johnson
Like
began
dudes in the
investing
NFL
in
that make that in a year now, aren't there?
Yeah, well, that just shows you the difference. Like, the pay grade for, like, athletes in the 80s versus 40 years later.
sports teams, pooling money to buy the LA Dodgers, for which he was heavily criticized.
We went in and bought the Dodgers for $2 billion, and everybody said they're the stupidest businessmen on the face of the earth.
Until it quadrupled in value.
At $8 billion, they said, oh, they're the smartest guys.
He'd therefore also invest in the Los Angeles Sparks, the Los Angeles Football Club, and the Washington
I
Commanders.
mean,
all
a
while leading-
risk is a risk. Everybody thinks a risk is dumb until it pays off, you know?
Yeah, all of a sudden their profits go up 400%. It's like, he is a genius and he is ahead of his time. I saw this coming from a mile away.
It's like
Yeah,
me
sure
thinking
thing.
about going to make a bet on Logan versus Mike, you know? But everybody's going to be like, that's stupid. Why would you bet against Mike? And it's like, because I still have the theory that Logan's paying all these dudes to take dives to further his own career.
operations for the Los Angeles Lakers. He then launched his own talk show, his own film studio, and even his own record label, before also buying a movie theater, the tallest building in Brooklyn, and 125 Starbucks locations. However, there was one investment that
Talk about diversifying your portfolio.
was stranger than any other. In 2015, Magic Johnson bought 60% of the Equitrust insurance company before almost doubling their assets from 16 billion to 26 billion.
Damn.
If you told Prime Magic Johnson he'd one day work in insurance, he probably would have laughed. Yet Ion Tiriac's corporate change was somehow
Also, does he
even
have, go back to where he's smiling there. Yeah, he's got the same thing I got, I think. Those aren't his real teeth.
Yeah, they're veneers.
Yeah.
Tiriac's corporate change was somehow even bolder. You've likely never heard of him, but you'll never forget the mustache. Ion Tiriac
Hell
was
no.
a pro tennis player from Romania who won the French Open during his peak in 1970. He retired 10 years later but had such a unique look, he was given a role in many different ads. Then he casually decided to open his own bank. It was the first in his country after communist Romania ended, with its profits funding other ventures in real estate,
Damn.
auto leasing, and air travel, although his coolest business is easily his car museum. He owns over 300 different incredibly unique
Holy
cars, including 2 Rolls-Royce Phantom 4s, of which only 18 were made and are valued at $3 million each. The rest of his collection features everything from Fords to Ferraris, and they're all on display at the Tiriac
I
Auto
got a
Gallery.
Glock in my
Despite
Rari.
owning just 200,000 pounds during his professional tennis days, he became Romania's richest man with a worth of 1.7 billion, but he's not nearly as famous as presenter
Oh, Mike
Michael
Strahan.
NFL players retire after 3.3 years on average, yet Strahan played from 1993 to 2007, spending 15 years with the New York Giants and retiring after a year that his team had won the Super Bowl. But while this made him perfect for a career in sporting commentary, he approached it through a slightly different medium. Strahan became a talk show co-host on Live with Kelly and Michael, which increased its ratings so ferociously, it began beating its competition by 87%. He was then offered a position on Good Morning America where he also performed exceptionally, winning 2 daytime Emmys for Outstanding Talk Show Host. More recently, Strahan was given a star on Hollywood's Walk of Fame, represented by a whole new category for sports entertainers, making his star the first to feature a trophy symbol. Michael certainly deserves his $17 million a year.
Yeah,
while
he's
Vinnie
somebody I
Jones
knew
is
just
also-
because of his after sports career, you know?
Yeah, he's hands down like just a genuinely likable, like one of the most genuinely likable guys.
Yeah.
so perfect for every role he plays.
Oh God, Vinnie Jones. You know, talking about a dude who was an absolute terror on the soccer field.
I had no idea about him.
Oh yeah.
You might recognize Vinny as the coach in She's the Man, being given the role as a former professional soccer player. He played 184 games of Premier League football, where he built a reputation as a super aggressive person. Vinny
Yep.
had once casually
Oh, his tackles were ruthless. Like those leg tackles right there. He would take your wheels out and like just, he basically, not only that, but sometimes he would take them out and he would like try his damnedest to like elbow you in the ribs or elbow you in the jaw, just to like try and get a little bit of an extra hit on you to take you out of the game.
threatened to rip off and spit in the hole another player's ear, broken the record for the world's fastest yellow card. Of his 184 matches, 12 had ended in red cards. His own club's chairman labeled him mosquito brain, yet Vinny's tough attitude paid off unexpectedly. In 1998, he was cast as a criminal in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels.
That's
although
where
his
I know him
casting might have
from.
been
Yeah.
too perfect, as on the
I was
day
like, he
was
looks so
supposed to start
familiar.
shooting,
He's
he
actually
had
one of my
to
favorite
attend a
movies of all
court
time.
hearing for assaulting his neighbor over an argument about a garden fence. He was sentenced to 100 hours of community service. Vinny was then also given 80 hours community service after admitting assault and using threatening words or behavior towards members of an air crew. As passengers and crew
Sounds like he
tried to
needs some anger
restrain him,
management.
Jones
He eventually got it.
declared, "I can get you murdered. I can get the whole crew murdered for £3,000. But these hiccups only helped his career as he began to play tough guys in every single movie. For example, the X-Men's Juggernaut. He's since acted in over 100 films, but it feels like Shaq appeared in even more commercials. After retiring as the 10th best player ever, Shaq began making rap music, releasing 5 studio albums, one of
After
which
Shaq
featured
went on
Michael
Hot Ones, I
Jackson.
can't get him
Under the
going. Out of my head now.
Yeah, him just doing the whole thing. We're just like, I apologize, Kansas City.
Named DJ Diesel, Shaq began performing live at festivals as big as EDC
I did
Las
not
Vegas.
realize that.
On top of music,
Yeah.
Shaq appeared on WWE, in shows like Curb Your Enthusiasm, and so many different commercials IMDb can't even count them all. However, most of his earnings have come from savvy business moves. Shaq owned 155 Five Guys restaurants, representing 10% of all locations, as well as 150 car washes, 40 gyms, and 17 Auntie-Anne restaurants. He's built a net worth
Diversifying
of
your
$500
portfolio,
million,
dude.
although there's something a whole
Shaq's
lot
always
cooler
been
about
a celebrity that I've had respect for.
Same.
Just always felt like he's been a cool guy, likable dude.
the success of Terry Crews. He was drafted to the NFL in 1991, playing 6 games for the Rams, 10 games for the Chargers, and 16 games for the Redskins, although he'd explained that he wasn't very good. I was always on the end of the roster. I was never a big superstar. I was an 11th round draft pick, partially because he didn't even enjoy it.
It took me years to figure out I never really liked football.
Terry made it obvious that he instead preferred the...
Well, the thing is, a lot of the guys that play football don't actually like it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of parents that just force their kids into a sport, and if they end up being good at it, then they stick with it even if they don't really like it that much.
My dad pushed football onto me, but at the same time, when I eventually got out of football, he wasn't like, he's like, you're no son of mine unless you play football. We play football and this. My dad, no, after I quit football, he had my back 100%. So I'm happy about that.
So my parents pushed me into a lot of stuff, and I didn't like any of it. And the one thing I wanted to do was play football. And then when I went and tried out, and they took me for a sports physical, I come to find out that, like, since I have a loose joint in my right shoulder, I was basically guaranteed to, like, end up with a dislocated shoulder, like, once every couple games, if not every game that I played.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that doesn't sound fun. So I ended up not playing. But it was the one that I was actually interested in playing.
Arts.
I would go back into the locker room and ask the players if they wanted their portraits painted.
You did these while you were playing?
While I was playing, I was known as the artist football player.
Retiring from the NFL to take his talent to Hollywood. His family thought he was crazy.
There was family members that were like, he had a chance. He blew it. Right. You know, that was the consensus.
Although whilst working security on the set of Training Day, Terry was given an unexpected chance.
Well, the director walks over to me and he said, hey man,
Anton
you want to be in
BjÄ.
this movie? I said, yeah. I was like, sir, whatever you need me to do.
This turned into another movie, then another. But it was after appearing in White Chicks that his life would totally change.
The producer of the movie called me. He said, Terry, your life will never ever be the same.
Terry was offered to appear in the Old Spice commercials, which went on for more than 10 whole years, calling it his revenge on the NFL.
They played on it all over the NFL. That was another thing that was kind of like my revenge on the league, because you couldn't watch a game without seeing some crazy Terry Crews Old Spice commercial.
Although in terms of success,
true.
They
the
were awesome
sporting
too.
Also,
they didn't talk about it, man. He's also in like one of my favorite shows ever, which is Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
Favorite thing with him is in the first season when he's still scared to be back in the. And they're explaining like why, and it's like they were in a department store, and he's like, "All right, just stay calm. You'll be cool, man. And be cool." He's like, "All right." And just blows away a mannequin, and he's like, think he's dead. I just love his fucking scream while he's emptying the mag into the mannequin in the pinata.
I also remember him in the show Everybody Hates Chris. Chris got screwed out of these shoes he was trying to buy. The guy stiffed him. Terry Crews is just like, you don't give my son his shoes? He's like, I don't know you, man. And then Terry Crews, like, it's the meme. It's like, you think I'm playing?
Retirement, there's nobody close to Michael Jordan. Considered the greatest NBA player ever, Jordan was approached by Nike to create his own special shoe, hoping to make $3 million over a 3-year period. Instead, it earned $126 million by the end of the first 12 months.
Michael Jordan got a percentage cut of every Jordan shoe that was ever sold. And do you know who negotiated that for him? His mother. They were going to give him a huge chunk of money and give him stock options in Nike because he was going to be their flagship athlete. They were a track shoe. They didn't do basketball shoes. They told Michael, yeah, we'll give you stock options and this, that. And then Michael's mom, at the last minute before he signed the contract, said, I want one revision. I want my son to receive a partial profit from every one of the like pair of sneakers sold.
I mean, like, even if he was just like 1% of every sale, like that's still
$1.2 million.
Yeah, he'd still become a millionaire at that point.
Right there.
The shoes of
Oh, you want to hear my funny Michael Jordan story, by the way?
Go for it.
So one of the other sports my parents forced me into was Pee Wee basketball, but I did actually kind of like watching basketball when I was a kid, and it's also proof that apparently kids don't see skin color. But Michael Jordan was my favorite.
He was a lot of people's favorite back then.
And we went to a gym at my church, and there were two older dudes like playing basketball, like older than me, obviously. You know, like I don't know how old they actually were at the time, but I saw them making hoops, and they were really good. And I was like, "Is that Michael Jordan?" And my mom cracked the fuck up because both those dudes were white.
Well, I always wanted to...
Mom was like, no, they're not Michael Jordan.
I am him, and he is me. Oh, how I want to be like Mike. The cult of personality surrounding him, and the fact that the NBA latched onto him as he was rising up, and him winning 6 rings. It's amazing what all like was accomplished with...
But I still somehow ended up a bigger fan of Shaq as I grew up.
Well, no. Well, Shaq was more of the goofball. Michael was the serious, like, straightforward athlete.
Yeah, I think I just liked Michael Jordan because I was impressed by his basketball playing when I was really little, you know. But
I was
as
too.
I grew up and saw Shaq and stuff, I just liked Shaq's personality a lot.
$5 billion, which he used to buy a share in the Charlotte Hornets, spending $275 million in 2010 before reselling it in 2023 for a whopping $3 billion. As a result, Michael Jordan is the richest athlete ever with a net worth of $3.2 billion.
Yes.
Damn.
Michael Jordan's been smart with his money.
I never really hear anything about him nowadays.
He mostly stays quiet nowadays. The Last Dance, like his documentary series that they did with him, that's the most recent thing that's really been like big news with Michael Jordan. Him running the show. Here's the thing. Michael Jordan, smart businessman, horrible at running a team. Because the Charlotte Hornets, horribly mismanaged. There's a reason why Jerry Krause built the Chicago Bulls. And I'm not taking anything away from Mike. I'm not taking anything away from Scotty, Horace Grant, Ron Harper, Dennis Rodman, all the people who were on those championship teams. If it weren't for Jerry Krause, Michael Jordan would not have 6 rings. Any Chicagoans out there can be mad at me. The fact that when they were honoring Jerry Krause and Michael Jordan had a falling out. And Jerry Krause made a lot of people in Chicago mad when he basically just after Michael retired for the second time, he basically dismantled the team and just started fresh. They honored Jerry Krause, I think it was about a couple months ago in Chicago, and because of the cult of personality around Michael Jordan, everyone booed Jerry Krause's widow, because Jerry Krause died in 2017. His widow came out to accept the award and everything. Boo! And I'm just like, you motherfuckers. And once again, any Chicagoan out there who wants to fight me on it, if not for Jerry Krause, Michael would not have 6 rings. I would say, in terms of athletes who retired, them using their money smartly, it's not the most likely of scenarios. Well, especially back in the day. Back in the day, athletes were dumb with their money. Now they actually have financial advisors on teams to help try and keep people in line, which I'm all for, dude. If you make that money, make sure you keep it too. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for this one. This was athletes who retired but were more successful after. Feel free to let us know who you think deserve to be on this list. And until next time, I'm Nate.
I'm Nick.
Be good, people. Take care. Peace.